this and that and so on. But then the intelligence reports came before the election. It should have been used before the election, not after the election.
Babangida said if he did not annul the election, there would have been a military coup.
That's how it's unfortunate that a general would chicken out of that.
Did he chicken out?
Yeah, well, he was commander-in-chief. So if he had an idea there would be a coup, he should have gone ahead to deal with the coup.
Eventually, he set up the interim national government. And there was a coup. Abacha took over.
Of course.
Was that a coup?
Well, in a way, it wasn't a coup. It was an arrangement. Because that's already inscribed in the interim national government decree, that if Shonekan fails, then the most senior military man should take over. First of all, why would you think that Shonekan will fail? To say that he will fail means that you already assume he should fail. And then you have appointed somebody to take over.
And he took over.
And he took over. So it wasn't a coup, it was a succession. And it was planned.
And Abacha began his lies.
And Abacha then decided that he would stay on. And he decided, he went ahead to establish political parties, dissolved all the parties, and then decided to establish 5 political parties. And Chief Bola Ige described those 5 political parties as 5 fingers on a leprous hand, because they were the same. They were on the same hand. They were all, you just split the same thing into 5. And eventually, the 4 of the 5 parties accepted Abacha as their candidate for the presidency. Technically, Abacha wasn't a member of any of the parties. So how come the parties now adopt him as their presidential candidate? The normal rule is that a presidential candidate will be one of the members of the political party. In this case, a party was appointing somebody not in their party to become the president of the country.
The plan was that he would be the consensus candidate.
Well, if it's going to be consensus, then you allow the parties to vote and concede that. Not that the leaders would say, he's our man. Because there has also been what some of us see as organized support. Boys asking for Abacha. And everybody, they say...
Youth earnestly ask for Abacha. Led by Daniel Kalu?
Yes. And so...
The 2 million man march.
Yeah, a million march man and that kind of thing. All that drama was going on. So it wasn't as if the thing was normal. It's organized, it's orchestrated.
He lied to Abiola. Abiola fell for his lies.
Yeah, Abiola fell for his lies because they had been together for years. And there was a level of trust. So the lie was also a betrayal.
He said he was going to hand over to Abiola.
He was going to hand over.
And Abiola
nominated some of the members of the executive for him. So everything was going well, but the man who is a strategist and master of deception played him out and eventually arrested him. And of course, he died in the custody.
Abacha also died at some point.
Well, Abacha died. All sorts of stories about that. But what we know is that he died. And Abiola also died mysteriously too.
So what we have established, that Babangida lied and ended up badly.
Right.
Abacha lied.
Of course.
And ended up badly.
Yeah. We were told that there were intelligence reports about this and that and so on. But then the intelligence reports came before the election. It should have been used before the election, not after the election.
Babangida said if he did not annul the election, there would have been a military coup.
That's how it's unfortunate that a general would chicken out of that.
Did he chicken out?
Yeah, well, he was commander-in-chief. So if he had an idea there would be a coup, he should have gone ahead to deal with the coup.
Eventually, he set up the interim national government. And there was a coup. Abacha took over.
Of course.
Was that a coup?
Well, in a way, it wasn't a coup. It was an arrangement. Because that's already inscribed in the interim national government decree, that if Shonekan fails, then the most senior military man should take over. First of all, why would you think that Shonekan will fail? To say that he will fail means that you already assume he should fail. And then you have appointed somebody to take over.
And he took over.
And he took over. So it wasn't a coup.
Invited from outside Nigeria.
Yeah, some outside Nigeria, like the people are just the Benoni, the Togolese, coming to do farming activities there. Who brought them in? Somebody must have asked them there's something like this going on. If you get to Teswaju, the mining area, you have Senegalese, you have Malians.
So it's not just about Fulanis.
It's not. Look, when they say everything header, it's not about Fulanis alone. Our own people have arrested people around the shrine there with military vest and local made guns. They are involved in kidnapping. But when you do ethnic profiling, that's one of the things why we keep telling people to stop ethnic profiling. Because when it's everything Fulani, the Yorubas, who are also criminals, will hide under that.
But are there Fulani criminals?
There are so many of them. They are Fulani criminals, no doubt about that. We've picked so many of them. Even this same operation I was telling you, after that intel, we picked 7 of them.
Fulanis.
They are all Fulanis.
So,
and we handed over to DSS. And the DSS confirmed that they actually helped them in resolving some of the issues they are investigating before them.
So you eventually moved into that bush?
Yes. After the training, if they tell him to fit training exercise, we combed the entire area.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
From what I saw in Itasa, at some point I got scared.
Yeah.
The large number of young men I saw, and most of them look like those from the north.
Of course. Basically, most of them are from the north.
How come they are mostly from the north? How are Yoruba persons not involved in this mining?
They are collaborators. I can tell you of anywhere in Oyo State where you see mining this thing, they are collaborators. It's not just even ordinary people.
Now, does those illegal mining create insecurity around those zones?
Of course now.
1,454 square kilometers. That is the size of Oyo State, bigger than 10 African countries. Bandits are exploiting that vastness. These aircraft could be game changers if deployed efficiently. One of the questions: will they just gather dust in an airfield Or even the mention of the name, the money, choked me. I refuse to be choked. 7.7 billion will be spent. That is what the governor, Shea Makinde, is saying. Taxpayers deserve to know, are these planes worth it? Will they actually reduce kidnappings, stop illegal mining, and make forests safer? Or is this just expensive symbolism? Security isn't just about tools. It's about strategy. A plane can spot a bandit camp, but without rapid response teams, without effective operations, without community trust, the plane is just a flying camera. So yes, this is a bold move, but the real test, how it is used. What do you think? You can call the radio man. Say hello to the radio station. 070 694 93000. That is 070 694 93000. You can also call the radio station on 070 144 757.
Good morning.
70. Good morning.
This is Sanyolu Adeyemo calling from Budwana.
Good morning.
I will give Shea Makinde the full support and say congratulations for this step. 1, 7 point something, 9 point something billion, whatever. The life of the people more important than the money we are talking about. One only thing I want to tell the old Nigeria or your state, can we compare the insecurity apparatus tackle 610 with what Burkina Faso president is using? The system Shea Makinde want to use now to kill the bandit, the terrorist in his country. The life of the people in Nigeria have lost. Edmond, you remember when you show what happened in some mining area at Okiogo? I pity those people. There are some illegal things we do in Nigeria, in our state, that don't benefit. The parties do not benefit, even the state government. Can we say Shea Makinde made a mistake? No. The Bodija, what happened in Bodija? The rocket, the killing, the people that their property was damaged. Should we say that Shea Makinde should stop? The government should stop? No. If we can find another governor that can emulate this 6 step very close to the Oyo state, to other area, the bandits will run away. They will run away. They are tackling it from this here, and Amoteko already working. Edmond, let me tell you one thing. I was coming from state in Ibadan. I saw Amoteko at Eden Place. You have mentioned it. The day you utter it on here, I thought you are lying, but we have seen the step taken by Shea Makinde, and the best thing for us is to give him the support. And if he leaves tomorrow, maybe by 2027 he has left the seat, another person should continue what he has laid down. This is not a matter of politics. This is just a matter of a party. It's a matter of institution.
Thank you.
He's building now.
Thank
that
you.
other states can emulate. God bless you.
Thank you for calling the radio station. Thank you. What do you think? The lines are open. You can also leave your messages. Page. We are streaming on that page on Facebook. So you can leave your comments on Splash FM page. Adebayo Abdul Latif Adekola, I can see you on Splash FM Facebook page. Aderemi Adeleke, good morning to you. Yusuf Ola Ishola, I greet you. Oluwa Fi Jimmy John Akinde. Abisiga Solo One, I can see you here. Juma Ali, I salute you too. I'm on Splash FM Facebook page. Prince Siki Rugiwa, good morning. I'm on Splash FM Facebook page. Come, let me see you. Let me know. Are you on Facebook? I'm on Splash FM page. The lines are open. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Headman.
Good morning. I can hear you.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Good morning, Headman. Can you hear me?
All right, he can hear me. Thank you for calling the radio station. The lines are open. Ogunwale Zike Faromi, good morning to you.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Edmund.
Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Olayinka, calling from Akumo.
Okay. Tell me
Yeah,
more.
I listened to them this morning.
Mm.
And I said I should just drop in the word.
Okay.
Now, concerning the issue of the aircraft that you're talking about,
Mm.
building an institution. Now, apart from the aircraft, there are men on ground already. Amotako is there. I mean, they are all across the state. Like Amotako has about 322 DT posts across the entire 33 local government. So what the plane would do for us is that we are likely to have an airstrip somewhere around the Betty, according to what the governor said, and then somewhere around Otu. I mean, 3 different feet where this plane could take off and land. You imagine if the plane takes off from Ibadan, going to Ibadan, to Oyo, to Ogbomoso. By the time it gets to Orire, the next local government is Igbeti, where it can land. Whatever information is collected around this area, there are men on ground who from the plane, they can easily communicate with them, and then those on the ground can have these issues. One, what the advantage of that is that it will help our intelligence gathering, it will help response time, which is very, very key. Because if something is happening in Oyo, just close by here, maybe in Afijo, and you are in Akinyele, and you didn't get the information until after about 1 hour, do you expect the criminals to remain there? That's an area. We can as well use this plane to monitor what's happening in some of our forests, our major entry and exit point. Because the idea is that the plane, whatever information is getting from there will be a monitoring center set up where the plane can communicate with the people in the monitoring center. They will take the intelligence and direct it to the nearest rank of men who are on ground. So I think it's a laudable project. We can't equate budget, this amount of money with human life. And don't forget the issue of foreign exchange. You are not going to buy this in naira. It's going to dollars. So if for instance, each of the plane costs 1 million naira, multiply it with $1 million, multiply it with 1,500. There will be other taxes. So it's not the issue of money. It is what, like you said, if we can use this thing and use it effectively to enhance operational activities. It's not only Amatekun. The DFS is there. Everybody is there. That to be used by all the security agencies. Thank you.
Thank you. That is Colonel Olayinka Olayanju, the commandant of Amotekun. He called in. I can't find, though he didn't introduce himself fully, but I know his voice. Thank you for bringing clarity to the subject. The planes we are talking about, eyes like hawks, with advanced ISR, intelligence, surveillance, recognizance systems. They see what human eyes cannot. They will browse through forest canopies, suspicious movements under moonlight skies and under moonless skies. These planes can patrol for 8 to 10 hours non-stop, twice as long as most helicopters. Their Ostro AEA 300 engines hum at just 65 decibels, quieter than a shouting march. I am talking of white birds in the sky. I learned they cost 60% less to operate than helicopters, and they need just 800 meters of runway, shorter than 8 football fields. The governor talks about airstrip, where these planes will land. Shema Kinde talks about airstrips, where these planes will land. Airstrips in Oyo State.
Tourism remains a key pillar of our economic strategy. This year, we're happy to witness the unveiling of the Kunle Afolayan, the film village and resort at Igbojaye. I was there, and just like Honorable Adiola mentioned, I made a promise at the commissioning for government, to deepen that enabling environment that will allow that private initiative to get to its full potential. So in keeping with our policy to create an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive, we have committed to support this initiative through road infrastructure, power, and we also said we will construct an airstrip out there. We're well on the way to doing that. There will be an airstrip at Otu, very close to Igbojaye, to accommodate small aircraft.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
While studying the plane, I just kept thinking, why can't we build these planes? Why can't we enhance our military industrial complex? I was looking at a picture of the plane. You know, science thrills me. I love science, and I love the mechanical aspect of things. I looked at the company, Diamond Aircraft. They unveiled DA-42 in 2002. They were building a plane that broke a 25-year drought. What about us? A quarter century had passed since Europe saw fresh twin-engine designs in this class. We allow tech students look at these planes when they land. Look at the engine, and it becomes a subject of classroom discourse. But wait. The DA-42 is one plane, if efficiently used, can go very far. Don't forget I make the point. Will Amoteku, already in the largest in the southwest, get real-time access to the intel? The Commissioner of Information, Dotun Oyelade, takes us into Sheyi Makinde's way of fighting bandits. I had this interview with the Commissioner in January 2024. Let's play with words.
In the middle of December, the state governor had been working on a particular project. It is called Operation Stillwater. He's been working with the Nigerian Air Force with the permission of Abuja, the federal government, of course. The governor has been working with the army and, of course, our own local architecture here, the Amoteku and Operation Burst. We've been working together to comb the Oyo National Park of illegal.
These illegal miners, who are those behind them?
Let's call them businessmen. But the truth of the matter is, yes, they are here in Oyo State, and they use, they are very dangerous people, well armed and prosperous, rich. Don't forget that they are not only in Oyo State, they are in ports of other states, even in the southwest, because it is anywhere they can find these mineral resources that they go to. They are in Osun area, for instance. They have literally taken over the economy and the place. We are not going to allow that to happen here. That's the resolution of His Excellency, Governor Sheyi Makinde.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
That is the Commissioner of Information of your state in that 2024 interview. Bandits think distance is their ally. No. The sky should not betray them. It should. You see, justice is not just about strength, but about vision. A hunter does not chase shadows. He watches, waits, then strikes with certainty. That is what these plains should bring, certainty. And let me tell you something. A land that invests in security invests in its soul. When a child can walk to school without fear, when a farmer tend his crops without looking over his shoulder, That is true prosperity. So I ask you, what is your role? Report suspicious movement. Stand with the police, the army. Stand with Amotekun. Security is not just the government's duty. It is our collective covenant. I want you to take note of this. The Wright brothers flew for 12 seconds. The DA-42 crossed an ocean. Progress isn't about giant leaps. It is about pushing boundaries others accept as walls. Remember, the sky hates empty boast. It only respects those who earn their wings. Now, we wait to see how Seyi Makinde uses this same diesel technology to power Oyo bush plains. Governor Makinde is saying, we will not wait for the storm to pass. We will fly above it. The skies over Oyo will no longer be empty. That is what the governor is saying. The skies of Oyo State will hum with purpose, with vigilance, with the unbroken will of a people who refuses to be afraid. The eagle does not fear the snake. It sees it from above and strikes. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station.
No economic or social program can succeed without security. This is why we have consistently invested in both infrastructure and human capital in the security sector. In October last year, we added 480 forest rangers to the Oyo State Amatekun Corps, bringing the total number of corps members to 2,500. We still have the highest number and best paid corps members in the southwest of Nigeria. That's Oyo State Amatekun. These rangers are specially trained to work in forest, protect farmers, deter illegal logging, and preserve our economic resources in rural communities. Our security model is rooted in community collaboration, cultural intelligence, and proactive deployment. And it is yielding results. We have also continued to work with and support federal security agencies with equipment to make their work easier. In the past year, we have provided over 50 additional operational vehicles fully equipped with communication gadgets.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Splash FM 105.5.
In the background,
Yeah.
breathing down heavily on the government. Early in 1993, a delegation of the Center for Democratic Studies visited the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Dasuki, on a transition sensitization visit. After the formalities, the hall was cleared and the Sultan requested the representatives of the management of the CDS to advise Babangida not to proceed with the election because, according to him, neither MKO Abiola nor Bashir Tofa was qualified to be the president. The management of CDS replied that it was already late to stop the process because the candidates were already on the campaign trail and the nation was expectant. The Sultan said that if the management of CDS could not advise President Babangida to stop the election, he would do himself.
Yes.
That is the Sultan here.
Yeah. There were what I would call powers behind the throne. Although the throne is higher than everybody, but there are also powers behind who, interestingly, were stronger than the throne, more powerful than the throne.
Can the Sultan be that powerful?
It could be that powerful religiously. He is taken as the head of all Muslims. So that's one area where he could exercise that power and influence. The other is, we said at the beginning that a lie is something you lie because you want to benefit from it. So, or you lie or you believe a lie because it agrees with what you also want, what you were thinking before. So if the Sultan tells Babangida something that agrees with what Babangida wanted, of course, they are collinear. They are in agreement, and therefore he would obey. And I think that there was a lot of that because spiritual leader, but as we say in politics, there's also politics behind the scene, which sometimes determines issues more than the politics on the scene. That's what they call the atrologia. It's something, there are things that nobody is ever told. Politics works at night most of the time, and politicians are night animals.
Yeah.
So, and you never, there are no minutes of such meetings, and the minutes are in the minds of the participants. So it's a question of what's going on, which is not in the public domain.
Why the night? Because as a political reporter, I even find myself working at night to know what the politicians are doing. Why do they like the night?
They like the night most of the time because they want to exclude other people. Women have been complaining that one of the reasons women are not many in politics is that it's a nocturnal game, and they are not given to that kind of thing. Second reason why it is a night game is that usually after the official meeting that they hold, if you find politicians say, "Hi, how are you? Very good. Where are you going now?" "I'm going home." "Okay, we'll see you later." There's going to be another meeting.
What can you take away from that statement by the Sultan? Do you now feel that the North was afraid of the coming of Abiola?
From what the Sultan was alleged to have said at the meeting with CDS management, he felt that not just the North, but also himself would not benefit from a Southern president, at least not benefit maximally from a southern president. And so he would also, just like ABN.
That's page 31. You said, of course, there were powerful non-state political actors in the background,
Yeah.
breathing down heavily on the government. Early in 1993, a delegation of the Center for Democratic Studies visited the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Dasuki, on a transition sensitization visit. After the formalities, the hall was cleared, and the Sultan requested the representatives of the management of the CDS to advise Babangida not to proceed with the election, because according to him, neither MKO Abiola nor Bashir Tofa was qualified to be the president. The management of CDS replied that it was already late to stop the process because the candidates were already on the campaign trail and the nation was expectant. The Sultan said that if the management of CDS could not advise President Babangida to stop the election, he would do himself.
Yes.
That is the Sultan here.
Yeah. There were what I would call powers behind the throne. Although the throne is higher than everybody, but there are also powers behind who, interestingly, were stronger than the throne, more powerful than the throne.
Can the Sultan be that powerful?
It could be that powerful religiously. He is taken as the head of all Muslims. So that's one area where he could exercise that power and influence. The other is, we said at the beginning that a lie is something you lie because you want to benefit from it. So, or you lie or you believe a lie because it agrees with what you also want, what you were thinking before. So if the Sultan tells Babangida something that agrees with what Babangida wanted, of course, they are collinear. They are in agreement, and therefore he would obey. And I think that there was a lot of that, because spiritual leader, but as we say in politics, there's also politics behind the scene, which sometimes determines issues more than the politics on the scene. That's what they call the atrologia. It's something, there are things that nobody is ever told. Politics works at night most of the time, and politicians are night animals.
Yeah.
So, and you never, there are no minutes of such meetings, and the minutes are in the minds of the participants. So it's a question of what's going on, which is not in the public domain.
Why the night? Because as a political reporter, I even find myself working at night to know what the politicians are doing. Why do they like the night?
They like the night most of the time because they want to exclude other people. Women have been complaining that one of the reasons women are not many in politics is that it's a nocturnal game, and they are not given to that kind of thing. Second reason why it is a night game is that usually after the official meeting that they hold, if you find politicians say, "Hi, how are you? Very good. Where are you going now?" "I'm going home." "Okay, we'll see you later." There's going to be another meeting.
What can you take away from that statement by the Sultan? Do you now feel that the North was afraid of the coming of Abiola?
From what the Sultan was alleged to have said at the meeting with CDS management, he felt that not just the North, but also himself would not benefit from a Southern president, at least not benefit maximally from a Southern president. And so he would also, just like ABN, he would also want Babangida that he knows to continue. So the devil you know is better than the one you don't know.
But Abiola was their friend.
Abiola was their friend. There is also a limit. There are gradations of friendship, hierarchies of friendship. Abiola was definitely a lower hierarchy of friend to the Sultan than Babangida.
But Babangida is not a Fulani.
It's not a Fulani, although at some point he also claimed that he was Fulani from Sokoto. So there was an attempt to be. And if there is that attempt, there will be no limit to such attempts.
We are already on the campaign trail, and the nation was expectant. The Sultan said that if the management of CDS could not advise President Babangida to stop the election, he would do himself.
Yes.
That is the Sultan here.
Yeah. There were what I would call powers behind the throne. Although the throne is higher than everybody, but there are also powers behind who, interestingly, were stronger than the throne, more powerful than the throne.
Can the Sultan be that powerful?
It could be that powerful religiously. He is taken as the head of all Muslims. So that's one area where he could exercise that power and influence. The other is, we said at the beginning that a lie is something you lie because you want to benefit from it. So, or you lie or you believe a lie because it agrees with what you also want, what you were thinking before. So if the Sultan tells Babangida something that agrees with what Babangida wanted, of course, they are collinear. They are in agreement, and therefore he would obey. And I think that there was a lot of that, because spiritual leader, but as we say in politics, there is also politics behind the scene, which sometimes determines issues more than the politics on the scene. That's what they call the atrologia. It's something, there are things that nobody is ever told. Politics.
The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Let me introduce this book to you. It's entitled The Art of War. The Art of War by Sun Tzu, with a foreword by James Clavell. The Art of War. That is the book of the day. It's a powerful book, penetrating. This book, it's a mindset. The Art of War. It is a masterpiece. Strategic thought. Men of power read books like this and they hide them from you. So having broken into their bookshelves, I am unearthing the books they read that they hide from you. They use the strategies to take power, and they bully you. You must learn to counter them and struggle for that power with them. Power is a struggle. You must have the strategy to struggle and gain power. And this book offers you solid strategies. Whether you are a teacher, a young university student, whether you are a bus driver, as long as you can read, you can acquire power. But what do you do with the power? Power for prosperity. This book was written over 2,500 years ago and is still relevant because the wordings are empirical. The Art of War remains the most influential book on strategy ever written. I have brought some copies down for you. Sun Tzu, a Chinese general and philosopher, wrote the book. What he did is to distill warfare into principles, universal principles that apply far beyond the battlefield. The ideas in this book are shaping modern businesses. The ideas contained in the book are defining politics, sports, and even personal development. At some point in my career, I applied the strategies in the book to strategically position myself. I hid it in the shelf for that long. This book is a manual for thinking deep. This book teaches you how to minimize conflict and secure victory even before the fight begins. China uses this book. You see, China hardly fights any war. Have you seen China fighting? Most of Chinese battles are not in physical warfare. They are mostly in economic and technological warfare. And they apply the Sun Tzu strategy. What about you? All warfare is based on deception. What is Sun Tzu trying to say? Here, he talks about the power of illusion in strategy. You need to pick up the book. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without Sun Tzu here talks about the art of winning without bloodshed. Babangida applied it in the 1985 coup that removed General Buhari as the head of state of Nigeria. It was a bloodless coup. And if you read Babangida's book, you would see in his analysis the effect of the recommendations of Sun Tzu in the art of war. Sun Tzu says that supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting, the art of winning without bloodshed. Power is competition. It's about who gets what. You struggle for it. Go for it. Run with it. You cannot sit back and become a victim of a system that you ought to govern. Arise and compete for power. Grab it. Run with it. And define the dream of the future. And one book that will help you build your mind is The Art of War. The Art of War says you should know yourself, and then you know your enemy. And in 100 battles, you will never be in peril. This is the foundation of all competitive advantage. Stop screaming, stop complaining, stop crying, arise and shine. What are the key takeaways from this book? Strategy over strength. Sun Tzu teaches that preparation, positioning, and psychology matter more than brute force. Sun Tzu talks about adaptability. Rigidity leads to defeat. Don't say no. I will not change. Read your environment and begin to adjust your thinking. Sun Tzu talks about fluidity. Fluidity ensures survival. Sometimes be formless, be shapeless. Sometimes be like water. The book is about the economy of conflict. The best victories are achieved swiftly, decisively, and with minimal waste. Who should be reading this book? Leaders and managers should read this book for tactics. Who should be reading this book? Leaders and managers should read this book for entrepreneurs. Read this book and know how to outmaneuver in business. Anyone facing challenges, because life itself is a series of battles, and Sun Tzu's wisdom is a weapon. The art, arise and shine. The book is brief, just about 13 chapters. But the briefness belies its depth. Some passages feel almost prophetic, as if Sun Tzu foresaw modern geopolitics, corporate warfare, and even psychological tactics. To order this book, chat with me on WhatsApp. My WhatsApp number 080 999 18 449. To get this book, to order it, chat with Udara Books on WhatsApp 080 999 18449. udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. But let me tell you this. It's not a book you just read once and go back. You need to reread the book. You keep reading it. And as you read it again and again, it will reveal new insights to you in every read. Whether you are a chief executive officer, a soldier, or simply someone who wants to navigate life's conflict with wisdom, this book is essential. Sun Tzu says, victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. It's about strategy. The lines are open. You can speak with the radio man. 070 694 93000. You can also call 070 144 757 70. Are you there? Let's look at this. I was reading Tony Falola's book entitled The Tony Falola Reader on African Culture, Nationalism, Development, and Epistemologies. That is the book, The Tony Falola Reader on African Culture, Nationalism, Development, and Epistemologies. In the book, Professor Falola examines the consequences of Africa's past on its today and tomorrow. In chapter 20 of the book, entitled Things Fall Apart, The Rise and Fall of the African Academy, Falola asserts that nationalism provoked the demand for academic institutions in much of Africa and suggested the themes for the first generation of scholars to examine. In the chapter 20 essay, Falola tells the story of Africanus hunting. Hunting called for an African university financed by government to train Africans in science and technology. After more than 100 years since Hunting's call, African states are yet to be technologically savvy, despite the establishment of numerous African universities of science and technology. Can this be linked to James Johnson's position that missionary education turned Africans into enemies of their own race? Do you want to help me answer that question? So I recommend this book, The Tony Falola Reader on African Culture, Nationalism, Development, and Epistemologies to you. The book is on udarabooks.com. But again, Professor Shola Olorunyomi is an academia. Shola Olorunyomi is the author of the book Afrobeat, Fela and the Imagined Continent. Afrobeat, Fela and the Imagined Continent. Having read this book, it became important to veer into the mind of the author. My target was the Fela story. But what was behind the mindset that went about researching on Fela? What was it about his environment that inspired him, that weakened him? Falola writes about the academia. Olorunyomi is part of the academia, and he writes a book after Afrobeat, Fela and the Imagined Continent. Let's work into Professor Shola Olorunyomi's word to understand his environment.
You would expect the scholarly community to have a deeper understanding of radicalism. But when that same system throws out students with radical views, then how would you define scholarship?
All the time there will always be contending ideas. There has never been any time when there's one single perspective to scholarship. So you still find people with alternative views, but it's shrinking more and more in the academia, and it's really sad. Though it shouldn't be too sad if public intellectuals are coming up and having, of course, you know what we mean by radical. We don't mean just sloganeering. Radix from the Latin word from, taking things from the roots, in order to understand how they come from their womb into, the outpouring of the details of what may appear on the surface, okay. So, but at this point in time, the conservative, I wouldn't even say conservative, retrogressive, because conservative is not even an idea, it's not a negative idea necessarily. I mean, it's just conserving the best of ideals, but rather slow in shifting. That's what conservatism really means. It's not necessarily a negative one. And radicalism is the one that thinks we can do it a little faster and all that. It does that also with some care, which is different from rascality too. So these are the intertwinings, and even in the one and the same body, there are moments of the conservative in you and the radical in you. Everybody has that, But the point is, we are having increasingly an academia which over the years has not been able to renourish itself because of the perpetuation of, defunding by the government of the nation, and an elite that is not committed to Nigeria. Partly because they are not committed to Nigeria, they do not want institutions of learning that will serve as the basis for the industrialization of this country. Why? Because they would rather prefer the shorter route of being middle benefit takers from products produced from elsewhere. So they become willy-nilly the kinds of people we call comprador bourgeoisie, So basically that is what it is, that they are middle benefit captors.
So what is the consequences of this on the intellectual community?
The first consequences is the atrophying or the shrinking of the capacity for us to attract the best. I mean, look, when Timbuktu, because as it was in ancient times, sometimes it is now, when Timbuktu was blossoming and the rest, that was also because, a lot of the elite then saw the value for knowledge. Scholars came from as far as Europe. They came from different parts of Africa to join the black, Timbuktu population that was doing this work. Okay, fine. But what happened later? Some kind of leaders who came and took the wealth and squandered it, sometimes of party, on state visits, on trips, pilgrimage, and all kinds of, depleting the external reserve of Timbuktu, and Timbuktu began to shrink and shrink. It was not just the invasion of the Amrabitun. It was not just that. It was also the internal decay that was coming. Oh, sorry, in English, the Almoravids. You know, it was not just that. Yeah.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
In my journey with Professor Shola Oloruyomi, we arrived at a definition. What is the content of the journey? It is about Afrobeat. In this case, it's about Fela and the imagined continent. Afrobeat is primarily a cultural and political musical practice. You will find that definition in Shola Oloruyomi's book. You know, he describes it as an aesthetics of cultural politics. That is, Afrobeat is politics. Shola Oloruyomi makes the point that Afrobeat is admissive of a free discourse of society's fears, doubt, and inhibitions. For example, Afrobeat is free to discuss governance, sex. Beyond musical rhythm, Afrobeat aims at cultural and political action. Is that why radicalism becomes a subject of discourse in this journey with Shola Oloruyomi? Because if you listened keenly, there are subjects about contesting hegemonic laws in Nigeria, in the academia. So Fela's imagined universe, of which Africa was its epicenter, is the place where Shola Oloruyomi resides. I am talking about lyrical narratives. Remember, Fela protested against conventional attitudes to education, gender, technology, power, life and death. If you turn to page 162 of Shola Oloruyomi's book Afrobeat, you will encounter this analysis. Shola Oloruyomi reminds us of Fela's alternative way of living. In this interview, Oloruyomi looks at a communal residence known as Kalakuta Republic. Have you subscribed to my YouTube channel? If the channel continues to give you value, await the Shola Oloruyomi interview on that channel. The African Shrine. But it is Shola's environment that triggers me here. The environment from where he operates. The environment that triggers the ideas within. That is what Professor Oloruyomi is talking about.
You have talked about the elite, defunding the university system.
The state.
The state,
yeah,
defunding.
Yeah, and then private sector then asks for the best. So because they are not paying them, banks now ask for first class just to count money, clerical work.
Has this introduced retrogressive elements into the academic space?
No, but you see what happens people sometimes are well-meaning. They sometimes don't go out there trying to be retrogressive. But when the people who merit to be somewhere aren't there, and of course this is not speaking for everybody in the academia, you understand, and a higher population of, or sizable enough, it needn't be a higher population. It's so easy to destroy. A dynamite brings down a building in a few seconds. To build it is a lot more difficult. So all you need is a quarter or even 1/8 of people who are not supposed to be in the academia, who over the years have just been fined because there was no job elsewhere. They then came into the academia and they bring all kinds of habits of doing things. I mean, they start saying, my Oga. I mean, I say that too, playfully. But there is no my Oga when it comes to contesting your ideas. There is no boss. Increasingly, you are finding words like that creeping in. My chief of staff. It doesn't even matter whether it's a joke or, and before, certain habits of hierarchy that are strange to the academia. Okay? Now, when you have people, in the past, you had a first class, a second class, upper, even a tutu that they thought had promise. They say, hey, there's nowhere you are going. Sometimes they came and told your parents, you come, you'll be here for this, then you go to Cambridge and do this and return. All the people we met there trained abroad. They came back home. In fact, they didn't want to spend a day. It was not just the scholars. Duro Ladipo, for instance, an artist, he was always counting the days. Of course, he performed there, he needed the prestige and sometimes, not so much the money. Don't forget, at least I remember, and he's a much older person, I won't change my naira for even $1, even from secondary school, because the naira was higher. I ordered my books in secondary school. I ordered my books from the post office. So when you no longer have those kinds of, because of the same habit of this elite, take the entire Commonwealth to squander it on non-productive activities like we've discussed. So this is what you get. So when it comes to this, you have seen it, and your program has talked much about this in society. In sports, in education, this is that same rot we're talking about. And the academia is not immune. I'm not saying the academia is not immune from this. And we shouldn't talk as if it's some island. So people are also battling. There are great scholars there. But all it takes is just 1/8, to make things impossible. And government knows these kinds of people. And they are the ones they will call to do certain public functions in order to disgrace the academia and do, it's quite interesting.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
Shola Olorunyomi is the author of the book Afrobeat, Fela and the Imagined Continent. The book is like the canonization of Fela, the codification of Afrobeat practice, Fela's prophecies, the Yabis, the 1977 burning down of Kalakuta Republic, the invasion of the shrine in 1997. Do you want to read this book? You should read this book. Visit udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. Donald Trump is the President of the United States of America. He's up to something.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
The Islamic Republic of Iran condemns in the strongest terms the United States' brutal military aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities. It is an outrageous, grave, and unprecedented violation of the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. The warmongering and lawless administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression. The U.S. military attack on the territorial integrity and national sovereignty of a UN member state carried out in collusion with the genocidal Israeli regime has once again revealed the extent of the United States' hostility towards the peace-seeking people of Iran, who will never compromise over their independence and sovereignty. The Islamic Republic of Iran continues to defend Iran's territory, sovereignty, security, and people by all means necessary against not just U.S. military aggression, but also the reckless and unlawful actions of the Israeli regime. While President Trump was elected on a platform of putting an end to America's costly involvement of forever wars in our part of the world, he has betrayed not only Iran by abusing our commitment to diplomacy, but also deceived his own voters by submitting to the wishes of a wanted war criminal who has grown accustomed to exploiting the lives and wealth of American citizens to further the Israeli regime's objectives.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack.
I want to go beneath the mountain and look at the battle of Fordow in Iran. Stay tuned, stay cool.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Splash FM 105.5.
My daddy is a building contractor. He builds beautiful houses for people and businesses, and he always builds with love.
There's this part that interests me a lot. That's page 31. You said, of course, there were powerful non-state political actors in the background, breathing down heavily on the government. Early in 1993, a delegation of the Center for Democratic Studies visited the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Dasuki, on a transition sensitization visit. After the formalities, the hall was cleared, and the Sultan requested the representatives of the management of the CDS to advise Babangida not to proceed with the election, because according to him, neither MKO Abiola nor Bashir Tofa was qualified to be the president. The management of CDS replied that it was already late to stop the process because the candidates were already on the campaign trail and the nation was expectant. The Sultan said that if the management of CDS could not advise President Babangida to stop the election, he would do himself.
Yes.
That is the Sultan here.
Yeah. There were what I would call powers behind the throne. Although the throne is higher than everybody, but there are also powers behind who, interestingly, were stronger than the throne, more powerful than the throne.
Can the Sultan be that powerful?
It could be that powerful religiously. He is taken as the head of all Muslims. So that's one area where he could exercise that power and influence. The other is, we said at the beginning that a lie is something you lie because you want to benefit from it. So, or you lie or you believe a lie because it agrees with what you also want, what you were thinking before. So if the Sultan tells Babangida something that agrees with what Babangida wanted, of course, they are collinear. They are in agreement, and therefore he would obey. And I think that there was a lot of that because spiritual leader, but as we say in politics, there's also politics behind the scene, which sometimes determines issues more than the politics on the scene. That's what they call the trilogia. It's something, there are things that nobody is ever told. Politics works at night most of the time, and politicians are night animals.
Yeah.
So and you never, there are no minutes of such meetings. And the minutes are in the minds of the participants. So it's a question of what's going on, which is not in the public domain.
Why the night? Because as a political reporter, I even find myself walking at night to know what the politicians are doing. Why do they like the night?
They like the night most of the time because they want to exclude other people. Women have been complaining that one of the reasons women are not many in politics is that it's a nocturnal game, and they are not given to that kind of thing. Second reason why it is a night game is that usually after the official meeting that they hold, if you find politicians say, "Hi, how are you? Very good. Where are you going now?" "I'm going home." "Okay, we'll see you later." There's going to be another meeting.
What can you take away from that statement by the Sultan? Do you now feel that the North was afraid of the coming of Abiola?
From what the Sultan was alleged to have said at the meeting with CDS management, he felt that not just the North, but also himself would not benefit from a Southern president, at least not benefit maximally from a Southern president. And so he would also, just like ABN, he would also want Babangida that he knows to continue. So the devil you know is better than the one you don't know.
But Abiola was their friend.
Abiola was their friend. There is also a limit. There are gradations of friendship, hierarchies of friendship. Abiola was definitely a lower hierarchy of friend to the Sultan than Babangida.
But Babangida is not a Fulani.
They are collinear. They are in agreement, and therefore he would obey. And I think that there was a lot of that, because spiritual leader, but as we say in politics, there's also politics behind the scene, which sometimes determines issues more than the politics on the scene. That's what they call the atrologia. It's something, there are things that nobody is ever told. Politics works at night most of the time, and politicians are night animals.
Yeah.
So, and you never, there are no minutes of such meetings. And the minutes are in the minds of the participants. So it's a question of what's going on, which is not in the public domain.
Why the night? Because as a political reporter, I even find myself walking at night to know what the politicians are doing. Why do they like the night?
They like the night most of the time because they want to exclude other people. Women have been complaining that one of the reasons women are not many in politics is that it's a nocturnal game, and they are not given to that kind of thing. Second reason why it is a night game is that usually after the official meeting that they hold, if you find politicians say, "Hi, how are you? Very good. Where are you going now?" "I'm going home." "Okay, we'll see you later." There's going to be another meeting.
What can you take away from that statement by the Sultan? Do you now feel that the North
was afraid of the coming of Abiola?
From what the Sultan was alleged to have said at the meeting with CDS management, he felt that not just the North, but also himself would not benefit from a Southern president, at least not benefit maximally from a Southern president. And so he would also, just like ABN, he would also want Babangida that he knows to continue. So the devil you know is better than the one you don't know.
But Abiola was their friend.
Abiola was their friend. There is also a limit. There are gradations of friendship, hierarchies of friendship. Abiola was definitely a lower hierarchy of friend to the Sultan than Babangida.
But Babangida is not a Fulani at night.
They like the night most of the time because they want to exclude other people. Women have been complaining that one of the reasons women are not many in politics is that it's a nocturnal game, and they are not given to that kind of thing. Second reason why it is a night game is that usually after the official meeting that they hold, if you find politicians say, "Hi, how are you? Very good. Where are you going now?" "I'm going home." "Okay, we'll see you later." There's going to be another meeting.
What can you take away from that statement by the Sultan? Do you now feel that the North was afraid of the coming of Abiola?
From what the Sultan was alleged to have said at the meeting with CDS management, he felt that not just the North, but also himself would not benefit from a Southern president, at least not benefit maximally from a Southern president. And so he would also, just like ABN, he would also want Babangida that he knows to continue. So the devil you know is better than the one you don't know.
But Abiola was their friend.
Abiola was their friend. There is also a limit. There are gradations of friendship, hierarchies of friendship. Abiola was definitely a lower hierarchy of friend to the Sultan than Babangida.
But Babangida is not a Fulani.
It's not a Fulani, although at some point he also claimed that he was Fulani from Sokoto. So there was an attempt to be. And if there is that attempt, there will be no limit to such attempts to be accepted.
There's this part that
than the throne, more powerful than the throne.
Can the Sultan be that powerful?
It could be that powerful religiously. He is taken as the head of all Muslims. So that's one area where he could exercise that power and influence. The other is, we said at the beginning that a lie is something, you lie because you want to benefit from it. So, or you lie or you believe a lie because it agrees with what you also want, what you were thinking before. So if the Sultan tells Babangida something that agrees with what Babangida wanted, of course, they are collinear. They are in agreement, and therefore he would obey. And I think that there was a lot of that, because spiritual leader, but as we say in politics, there's also politics behind the scene, which sometimes determines issues more than the politics on the scene. That's what they call the atrologia. It's something, there are things that nobody is ever told. Politics works at night most of the time, and politicians are night animals.
Yeah.
So, and you never, there are no minutes of such meetings. And
it's about war as politics, the continuation of power by other means. Sheyi Makinde goes for planes, surveillance, recognizance, intelligence. Karl von Clausewitz, war is merely the continuation of policy by other means. These famous words, written nearly 2 centuries ago, remain one of the most piercing insights into the nature of conflict. War is not an aberration from politics. Violence, shadow, brutal negotiation tactic. When diplomacy fails, when threats lose their weight, when interests collide irreconcilably, war becomes the ultimate arbitrator. War. The 12-day war. Beneath the mountains, strategies of war. The art of war. The battle for Fordo. Let's go into the depths. Let's look at the geological and geopolitical to understand the earth-shaking event at Iran's Fordo nuclear facility. It's about bombs. It's about bunkers. It's about humanity's oldest struggle. Security versus sovereignty. Technology versus terror. Carved into the Zagros mountain, 200 kilometers south of Tehran, Fordo is a modern-day labyrinth. Originally secret tunnels for the Revolutionary Guard, this underground city became Iran's crown jewel for uranium enrichment after its 2009 exposure. 2 main tunnels, each wide enough to drive trucks through. And what do you find inside? Thousands of centrifuges spinning uranium-235 to weapons-grade purity. And Donald Trump says, no, I will not watch as this happens. If you look at Fordo, you will see the smaller branching tunnels.
How was Iran able to build this facility inside a mountain? What technology did Iran deploy? The same technology Hamas deployed in Gaza? Hezbollah in Lebanon? Tunnels. 2 main tunnels. Why mountains matter? 80 to 90 meters deep. I'm talking about 26 stories, like Cocoa House. That was the depth. Iran went that depth to build the Fordo nuclear facility out of the eyes of the world. How can you bomb such depth? Only America has the technology, not Israel. If you look at Fordo, you'll be seeing thick granite. It absorbs blast waves. It has only 2 known entrances, and both are hardened. Why did Iran go that far? Must Iran have nuclear weapon? But Israel has nuclear weapon. Why should Iran not have? Before Donald Trump struck Fordo, Israel had bombed Fordo. But what was Israel's target? Israel targeted the surface-to-air missiles around Fordo, not the facility itself. Israel was clearing the ground for America to strike. It is the art of war. It's about the strategies of war. Life is war itself, but it is beautiful. Was the 12-day war beautiful? Why did Israel strike the surface-to-air missiles around Fordo? It is to peel back the onion's layers. But Fordo's core remained intact, buried deeper than Jerusalem's western wall is tall. Then entered the earth shaker. You've read about it. The GBU-57 MOP, massive ordnance penetrator. That is America's weapon, the weapon of war. What is the weight of the bomb? The weight of one of the bomb that America used in Fordo is 13,600 kilograms. That is the weight of the bomb. The weight of one GBU-57 MOP, 13,600 kilograms. And that is the weight of 3 African elephants. The length of the bomb, 6.2 meters. And that is the length of 2 pickup trucks. Now, the bomb GBU-57 can penetrate 18 meters through concrete. That is 61 centimeters through earth. Why will America make such a bomb? Will they destroy the world? Why is Iran desperate of a nuclear facility? Iran must defend itself against the aggression of Israel. Israel says Iran is a terrorist nation and Iran must pay. It is an underground thunderbolt. America dropped the bombs. Did America succeed in destroying Fordo? Only one weapon system carries the bomb, the MOP. only one weapon system carries the MOP. And that is America's B-2 Spirit bomber. Have you seen that bomber? Why did America build such a bomber? These 2 billion shadows, one of the plane cost $2 billion to build. To build one of the planes that carried the bomb. America spent $2 billion. But what is thrilling here is that that plane, or the planes that flew that night, they flew from Missouri in the United States of America to Diego Garcia. I am talking about 3,700 kilometers to Iran before they struck. Why did Iran not stop the bombers? By this time, Israel had dismantled Iran's sky defenses. By this time, Israel had taken over Iran's airspace. Why was it so easy? I was reading the comment on Splash FM Facebook. A listener said, why did Sheyi not go for drones? Why go for aircraft? Someday we'll talk about drones, and I will answer that question. But when I see Sheyi, I will ask him the question you asked on the page. That is if I see him. International law views Fordo as a violation. Now, this is the Chairman, Joint Chief of Staff of the United States of America. Listen attentively and see if the word is in danger. He's the American man, the commander. After the commander-in-chief gave the order, he implemented, and he tells us how.
This operation was designed to severely degrade Iran's nuclear weapons infrastructure. It was planned and executed across multiple domains and theaters with coordination that reflects our ability to project power globally with speed and precision at the time and place of our nation's choosing. This was a highly classified mission with very few people in Washington knowing the timing or nature of this plan. I'll refer you to the graphic on the side as I walk you through some of the operational details. At midnight Friday into Saturday morning, a large B-2 strike package comprised of bombers launched from the continental United States. As part of the plan to maintain tactical surprise, part of the package proceeded to the west and into the Pacific as a decoy. A deception effort known only to an extremely small number of planners and key leaders here in Washington and in Tampa. The main strike package, comprised of 7 B-2 Spirit bombers, each with 2 crew members, proceeded quietly to the east with minimal communications. Throughout the 18-hour flight into the target area, the aircraft completed multiple in-flight refuelings. Once over land, the B-2s linked up with escort and support aircraft in a complex, tightly timed maneuver requiring exact synchronization across multiple platforms in a narrow piece of airspace, all done with minimal communications. This type of integration is exactly what our joint force does better than anyone else in the world. At approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, and just prior to the strike package entering Iran, a U.S. submarine in the Central Command Area of Responsibility launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles against key surface infrastructure targets at Esfahan. As the Operation Midnight Hammer strike package entered Iranian airspace, the U.S. employed several deception tactics, including decoys, as the 4th and 5th generation aircraft pushed out in front of the strike package at high altitude and high speed, sweeping in front of the package for enemy fighters and surface-to-air missile threats. The strike package was supported by U.S. Strategic Command, U.S. Transportation Command, U.S. Cyber Command, U.S. Space Command, U.S. Space Force, and U.S. European Command. As the strike package approached Fordo and Natanz, the U.S. protection package employed high-speed suppression weapons to ensure safe passage of the strike package, with fighter assets employing preemptive suppressing fires against any potential Iranian surface-to-air threats. We are currently unaware of any shots fired at the U.S. strike package on the way in. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordo. As the president stated last night, the remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 MOPs dropped against 2 nuclear target areas. All 3 Iranian nuclear infrastructure targets were struck between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern time. Again, that's about 2:10 in the morning local time in Iran, with the Tomahawk missiles being the last to strike at Esfahan to ensure we retain the element of surprise throughout the operation. Following weapons release, the Midnight Hammer strike package exited Iranian airspace and the package began its return home. We are unaware of any shots fired at the package on the way out. Iran's fighters did not fly, and it appears that Iran's surface-to-air missile systems did not see us.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
The U.S. act of aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities constitutes not only a flagrant breach of the UN Charter, especially the prohibition of the use of force under Article 2, Paragraph 4, and the obligation to respect the state's territorial integrity and sovereignty, but also a violation of UN Security Council Resolution 2231. It cannot be emphasized enough how much of a devastating blow that the US, a permanent member of the Security Council, has dealt to the global non-proliferation regime. The Islamic Republic of Iran reminds the United Nations, the Security Council, the UN Secretary General, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and other relevant international bodies of their duty and responsibility to take urgent and decisive action in response to this breach of international law. Silence in the face of such blatant aggression will plunge the world into an unprecedented level of danger and chaos. Humanity has come too far as a species to allow a lawless bully to take us back to the law of the jungle.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
didn't say God bless Iran. The last book I'm recommending to you today is The 33 Strategies of War. It's a Robert Greene's masterclass in psychological dominance. Are you prepared for power? I'm talking to you. Are you ready to challenge for power? Stop complaining. Begin to develop strategy. And I'm bringing these books to you. And these are non-pirated copies. These are original copies from the publisher's table. The 33 Strategies of War. Robert Greene, The 33 Strategies of War. It's a psychological arsenal. It builds on the foundations of Sun Tzu, on the foundation of Clausewitz and Machiavelli. What Robert Greene did in this book was to distill 2,500 years of military, political, and social conflict into 33 ruthless, actionable strategies for outmaneuvering opponents in any arena, be it business, politics, and power. Get ready for power. This book is a game changer. In this book, Robert Greene dissects history's greatest battles, betrayals, and comebacks, from Napoleon's campaigns to corporate boardroom wars. Each strategy is a lesson in control, a lesson in deception and psychological dominance. Are you prepared for this battle ahead? It is the strategies of war. You turn weaknesses into strength. Yes, it is about historical depth, psychological warfare, universal application. Who needs this book? Executives, journalists, leaders and strategists, underdogs. You need these books to fly. What are you doing with your mind? Feed your mind. When you read, you feed your mind. And when you visit udarabooks.com, you visit a new way of thinking. You feed your mind. Some have said the book is ruthless. Is Tinubu ruthless? Is Shema Kinde ruthless? How do they develop their strategies of power? What about Adeboye? Some may find it Machiavellian, but Robert Greene argues that the world is a battlefield. The only choice is between being the strategist or the pawn. Arise and shine. The 33 Strategies of War is a modern classic of strategy, standing alongside the 48 Laws of Power as essential green. It is about mastering the invisible forces that decide victory or defeat. The battle for the future is a tough one. It's a war. The war of the future has been launched. Are you ready with the strategies to bring victory and prosperity to the land? 6 miles to the moon, we shall reach the stars. If you love the book, you can order it through my WhatsApp number 080 999 18449. 080 18449. Have you left your messages here? Let me find you. I'm on X. Let me see what you're saying. Leave your messages. Taiwo Sadiq, I have seen you here. Abeza Chasu Binna. Banditry in Nigeria is a ripple effect of primary causes, he says. The primary causes, in this case, are poverty, ignorance, and scramble for mineral resources by non-state actors. Abeza Chaso Binno says without solving these primary problems, secondary solutions, such as this aircraft, is not enduring.
Isaac Adebowale is here. He says, Mr. Edmund, I would prefer that the governor spend 2 billion on training of Amotekun in modern-day security tactics and delivery of effective tools and gadgets needed to perform special operations, while also giving them our befitting offices. O Ogundikwe says, my only fear about these airplanes is sustainability. I think if this fund is channeled towards empowering the Amotekun more, so they can cover more ground. Also, do we have capable hands for the operation of the aircraft? Maestro is here. He says, inasmuch as it is a good move, how swift is the response team on land? Not only charity begins at home, security also begins at home. How is the local security body moving? The plane can't be everywhere at once. Swift response is needed. Hope they get it right. KG Akinwale, good to find you here. Thank you for being part of this, Big Pedro. I have seen you here. Keep the messages coming. I read them. I try to understand them. If you are here, you can always join the Radio Man every Saturday morning. Are you on Splash FM Facebook page? Let me see your face and know what you are saying. Let's go there. Are you watching on YouTube? Is Shea Makinde going to deploy the planes efficiently? Do we have the capacity? Time will tell. The ball is in the court of the Oyo State people. 7.7 billion. Is it money well spent? Let me see you here before I go. Remember, the next program is Ijoba Tiwa with Sheun Special. Are you ready for it? Tululokwe Adeyemi, I can see you here. He says the move by the governor is a good one, and it's even a signal that he prioritizes the lives and properties of his people. Citizen Dre, I can see you here. Akim Adedamola Shitu, USA and Israel planned and executed the 12-day war. Israel struck Iran unaware, and USA also bombed Iran. Next week is another time. I am Edmondo Pilo. I worked with Bosun Alayode to bring you this edition of State Affairs. Enjoy your weekend.